everyone. Today we have our another new episode and we will discuss on smart city. We have our famous speaker, Professor Tobit Bhuiya. He is from Daffodil International University, Bangladesh, and we have our friend, Mr. Raymond. He is expert of digital currency. So, uh, Professor Tobit Bhuiya, I think already you joined in World Talent Economy Forum before, and you are working for Daffodil International University. I know you have a very beautiful campus. I visited when I come back to Bangladesh, your campus, and uh, you are doing very interesting projects, seminar, symposiums, workshops, and you are uplifting the Bangladesh community. So, what is your experience about smart city, and what experience you want to share with our audience?
Okay, hello
Professor
everyone.
Tohit Bhuiya.
In Bangladesh, few years ago, the government declared that we want to be a digital Bangladesh. That's the government slogan. And based on that, they tried to automate all the government services. For example, if you want to apply for a passport or if you want to do a driver's license, this kind of thing, you can apply, and most of the process are in line. You can use it online. So first target was to make digital Bangladesh. Now the latest slogan becomes smarter. It says that smart Bangladesh, which means Bangladesh government is planning to automate, computerize, and optimize all the service for the people and make the whole country as a smart Bangladesh. As Bangladesh is a developing country, it is a dream, but partially we are on the way to implementing. For example, I am working in a university which has a remote campus.
Professor Tohid, I think he has internet issues. Uh, Mr. Raymond, what you want to discuss about smart city?
I think one of the interesting points that'll come up is we do have the technology now for these smart cities, but for many centuries we can see that we've had a lot of social issues. So my question would be, will these smart cities resolve a lot of the key issues that we've been facing? But probably more importantly, who will run them? There's a big swell of new usages for artificial intelligences. Will we be willing to place our city's health and the survival of its citizens in the hands of these artificial intelligences, or will we need to look at renovating the existing government structures that we currently use? So I think governance will be quite an important issue. I always think governance is quite an very complex but important issue. But I see that there is already a lot of real-time use of these new technologies for developing sustainable businesses, repurposing old businesses. So I think these smart cities, they're going to go up very, very quickly. We already see what's happening in Saudi Arabia with their gigantic mirrored city in the desert that's already under construction. We've seen how quickly China can mobilize itself when it wants to. There's a lot of ghost cities that are all empty. Um, I don't know. There's a lot of global issues. Certainly, obviously, in India, there's going to be a huge movement to redesign or restructure um, the way resources are being distributed. I think the smart cities will obviously be tapped in some degree with like Dr. Tawhid was saying, in some form of metaverse for education purposes. This is great, but it'd be really interesting to see the actual groundwork being laid for these smart cities and for them to be used now, because the problems that we've been facing, they're problems that we've been facing for a while, and they're things that we need to solve right now, right this minute.
Thank you, Professor Vuya. I think there is an internet issue. That's why I give floor to Mr. Raymond. So, what you are discussing about Bangladesh and the government strategy.
Yeah, yeah. As a case study, what is our expectation? What are the technology we are going to implement? So I want to share as a case study what we have done so far. Uh, First, we gave a name as city. That's the first step we have done. We already uh, in every developed country, we have seen that there is a transport card, the digital card, which can be used in bus, train, and other transportation connected. So we have developed the code and we have implemented the technology by ourselves. That means the university uh, students and teachers, they have the bond card system, which is which can be used in the university shop and uh, the transportation and this and that. Also, we have a large part of the buses which brings students from different parts of the city, and we have developed automated apps and a mapping system where you can see the which bus is in relation to this kind of thing. Also, we are under the process of we have the uh, car parking, and you can see how much is occupied, and also uh, uh, you can book this kind of thing. So we have just started, but with the dream that, as I speak, everything must be computerized, optimized, and latest technology will be used. Today, I have visited our robotics lab where they have developed some robots which will carry the products. That means if we, uh, in my desk, if I want to order anything, that robot will carry it. So this the robotics, IoT, and the cybersecurity. So all the fourth industrial revolution we are exploring and moving towards the smart city. Smart city means that Saudi Arabia has a huge budget, billions of dollars. They are implementing a real smart city where everything will be computerized and uh, future will be there. So we have the same dream, but as we have the constraints of different issues, the technology, the skilled people, financial issues, and uh, many other issues. So altogether, we have just started moving towards the smart city.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Bhuya. We have our young talented fellow from World Talent Economy Forum, Mr. Debashish. Mr. Debashish Kundo, what you want to discuss about smart city? Can you unmute yourself and open your camera, Mr. Debashish?
Yes, Dr. Sharif, thank you uh, for the opportunity to talk about these things. So, what I personally realized, this study started long, long, long ago. Since 2011, it was planning approximately near about 2000. So, people are thinking, how can they digitalize and how can we pick up the transportation, public safety, and the citizens' priority towards the people, and how can the government do the sustainable works for the society. So throughout the time and throughout the session, what we particularly see, like government are doing lots of things, and the activities are like they are working on energy efficiency, they are working on waste management, and they are working also on traffic control. So based on the data, so we all know whenever we need to work on those things and whenever we need to do some improvement toward these issues, we need to have some data, and the data can give us some driven examples how to deal with these things. So from that particular point of view, the smart city concept come up, and most of the countries are investing billions of dollars over these things over and over again. And uh, what I have seen in some research paper, it started in 2011 in Barcelona, and they were doing that for the energy efficiency and the citizen participation as well. So on that particular point, in Bangladesh, what I have been saying, the e-governance and e-governance sector have been improving significantly, and the government also digitalizing all those things, particularly the e-passport and the database what they are trying to get, something you call say like social security number, the whatever when we are getting NID nowadays, the national identity number, then we are getting the thing with a chip, so that every single data will be stored over there. And if government want to track down like which people is going where and who is traveling which part of the country, and particularly who have the right to access in this particular segment or not, they can easily get all this data from there. So from that point, the Singapore and South Korea and some other countries like Malaysia also doing these things. And if we have a look our neighbor country India, we can see that Kerala and some other states also built the smart city. Though Bangladesh doesn't implement such project like the smart city project right now, but we are drawing some map for that, and we also doing some activities toward those things like digital Bangladesh. So this is the earliest stage and this is our initiative, but we have been doing good. Government also introducing some technology for the traffic control system and the elevator express. Throughout these things, government is also monitoring and government is also getting the data. The most important fact why the smart city is important, like government need lots of data to make a decision. So the decision should be a data driven decision. It is not something like someone is coming and saying this is the decision is supposed to be taken. The data will provide us which decisions supposed to be taken right at this time. So this is the way the government and the policymakers also are contributing on a smart city.
Thank you, Devashish. We have our friend from California, Mr. Eric. He is our partner for Pacific Prime Business Council. So I know that you have a plan to develop 100 different cities, smart cities around the world. So what is your concept? How you want to do these things? Already you know that our chairman, Mr. Homestoners, with his team, he visited Bangladesh and he visit the government officials and the corporations and academy, and hopefully we can implement it in South Asia. So what is the features you have, what is the plan you have, and how we can do together the smart city concept or smart city implementation in South Asia, specifically in Bangladesh.
Well, the good news is you can implement smart city at whatever level of technology you have. You can implement smart city using text messages or social media, or you can develop these highly integrated Internet of Things a plan. So one news is that you can use it with whatever technology you have. The other thing is it's very scalable. So as you learn, you can move more. Uh, there's kind of two opposing forces. There's kind of problems in search of solution, like the idea of take your major problems and actually that is the biggest challenge, is getting people to work together to figure out what problems you want to solve and what the priority is. Because the thing about smart cities, it usually takes lots of pieces working together between government and industry and academia and everything from traffic to maintenance to figuring out where to park. There's so many things you could do, but really to do it effectively is how do you get those groups to come together and decide what the key problems are. The other part of the side of the equation is just people with good things. Hey, I figured out a good way to implement this. Here's a new tool that, the city where I lived had a lot of contests where they have people do app developers and they get prizes and awards and some get implemented and they open it up for people to figure out things they could do. The thing that really accelerates that in San Diego was making the data available. And that again goes to the other problem of, well, what are you going to prioritize what data to make available and how to make it available? For example, there was an app that told you how good your contractor was. If you wanted to go have a contractor do your home, it actually looked to the public records of how many times they filed and delivered for permitting. So you could see how good your was issuing permits and delivering them and delivering well and on time. And that was just public data. And this was an app somebody built at a contest in a day or a couple days. They actually built it and it got implemented. So it's a lot easier. There's a lot of data that's available, but it's a lot easier for a smart city if the city gets together to decide what key problems they want to solve, work backwards to what data is available. And then that allows innovators, entrepreneurs, developers, anybody to come in and figure out what can we do with the data. The other part of that is a citywide effort to say, what do we really want to improve? Do we want to improve the planning for dog parks, for example, or green space where people can put in proposals and you can see them overlapped and people can even, in some cases, start working on a plan together online. Just a simple thing of how do you plan online for doing a district. In San Diego, they built did these designs for super blocks, which was live, work, play kind of spaces, and how do you do that? And you get everybody planning together. Another example where something you have to worry about is when you do make things smart, you have to worry about the data that is available. For example, San Diego put in these very smart lights that have cameras, and the purpose of that was to say, oh, you can actually use the cameras to figure out where you can park. Here's parking available. But then people said, well, wait a minute, you're capturing me walking down the streets. That's in the cameras too. We don't know if we like it. So there's a big argument over whether you should have pictures to catch people or whether it was just for what it was used for, which is traffic monitoring and parking and things like that. So there's a lot of discussions that have to go in when you make the data available that people can use. So again, I guess my summary is it's good to bring people together at the point where you can start identifying and prioritize problems. On the other hand, there's a good point of people who can just do things so easily with software platforms and apps and websites. And the key to all that is data. Some of that data is just available publicly, like you can go to the network and grab it. Some of that data needs to be made available. And when you do make data available, then you have to be very careful about who can use that data, how it's going to be used in those discussions. have to be. But the bottom line is you can start with very simple things. Getting tickets, doing parking, coming up with a plan for a permit, very simple things that make cities better. And you can use the technology that a lot of us have, which is just a mobile phone. That can be the start of a lot of smart city technology. So hopefully that helps.
Thank you. Mr. Raymond, you are from South America. I mean, from Argentina. So, what is the situation right now in South America or in Argentina? Do they develop smart city projects or what's going on?
Like Buenos Aires is very much behind the smart city movement. There are a lot of initiatives happening at the moment. Over the last 5 to 7 years, have implemented a new bike share program for the citizens of the city to be able to move. There's probably close to 400 kilometers worth of bike lanes which have been installed into the center of the city, Buenos Aires. And this has resulted in a big change in a number of areas. I mean, obviously, from a physical or sociological standpoint, you have people being a lot more healthy. They're being a lot more connected with the green spaces. You have a different velocity of movement of the citizens between the different neighborhoods. And it was something as simple as making available thousands of bicycles that people can use their smartphone to connect to the government system, take it out, move it, use it for 45 minutes without cost, and then replace it. This has had a huge effect, I think, on the awareness of people and the accessibility of green spaces in the city. Buenos Aires is one of the largest cities in the world, but it has per capita some of the fewest green spaces available to its citizens. So even though there's probably close to 500,000 trees that have been planted throughout the city, the green spaces themselves are very are not that there's not that many of them. There's a couple of big green spaces. We call them the lungs of the city, which are very, very well patronized by the citizens. And I think the access to bicycles, for example, as a really simple example, has really improved the mental well-being of citizens to some degree. Also, I heard 2-3 years ago, might be 4 years ago, that Buenos Aires was intending by 2025 to have implemented solar energy to its public transport, i.e. the bus transportation system. They are in the process of extending the Metrobus service, so that is separating the buses from the cars. Obviously, they're separating the bikes from the cars. So the implementation and the infrastructure is actually being developed here as we speak. There's a lot of other areas within the city which are already using smart city technology, if you want to put it like that. So yeah, Buenos Aires is a very, very interesting city. It's got a very good, with regards to data, it's got a really nice number to work with. There's only around 4.5 million people living in the city. We have a quarter of the country's population living in the greater Buenos Aires area. The population of the country being around 45 million or so. So as a model, it's really easy to, I think it's quite easy to identify the areas which require focus. I'm guessing that the next most important thing, obviously, for this country is its economic structure, the financial I mean, I see a lot of the smart cities operating and benefiting from the creation of different mini economies. University being a good example. But yeah, Argentina's doing great strides ahead in a lot of these areas. But obviously there's some serious issues that it needs to turn its attention to. That's all I have to say about that.
Thank you, Mr. Rahman. Professor Professor Tohid Bhuya, World Talent Economy Forum. We work as a business incubation. So we want to know more about your students. If they innovate any technology for smart city projects, uh, we want to invite them in our forum. So do you have any startup or project who are solving or helping the smart city development?
Okay. Before replying your question, I like to say something about the current state of Bangladesh. The metro rail, the tunnel under the river, this kind of thing is not very old in Bangladesh. We have a vision, we have long way to go. For example, for the e-toll system is not yet implemented. It is under processing. So once we will have this kind of available technology installed, then um, as Eric says that data is important. Also, Devashish mentioned that if we want to make something some smart city, definitely we need to have uh, enough data, coordinated and collaborative way. We need to share the data, but we need to consider the security issues as well. So in our university campus, which we claim that Daffodil Smart City, where we are we are thinking our campus as a miniature of the country. And that's why at this moment we are running several projects. Some are IoT based, some are robotics, and also cybersecurity areas. Every areas of fourth industrial revolution, these technologies we already have some critical some labs, research labs, where many projects are going on. So uh, uh, developing robots, we have robots running are going on. The product remote, which is our latest addition. Previously, we had entertainment robots. Some of them we bought from China, we imported, and some of them we built by ourselves. And in our IoT lab, there are some projects going on where they're working on some projects where they collect the data using several sensors for agriculture to improve the quality of the uh, soil and the environment where it can produce more crops, this kind of thing. So I'll be happy to connect those people to World Talent Economic Forum so that in the space can tell the technological line what is really the current situation in Bangladesh. We are representing the whole country. It's a miniature. Our role is to implement campus, make the campus a smart campus, which is the model of our future, the whole city. Dhaka is a very big city, and a lot of people lives in the city. It's too much crowded, and it is very hard to provide the internet services and maintaining the data of a large number of people and those data safely, securely. So, yeah, our campus is make it a smart campus, and we are working on it on this process. Sure.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Eric, as you discuss about the digital smart city projects, so I want to learn more about the digital smart city project. I know that already you did a series with World Talent Economy Forum with your team. And what's your concluding remarks for today's session?
Well, one thing to look at is, so I've worked with San Diego, Singapore, and Dubai, which all do a lot of planning. And something, why do some smart city initiatives fail? Well, the first main reason a lot of them fail is lack of public buy-in. People just don't get it. It's new. You don't get the buy-in. Another reason is because of controversy. Like we mentioned, the ability to capture pictures and cameras. A third reason is the technology itself. Lack of the technology living up to expectations or getting too, overreaching what they can do, a little too ambitious, trying to do too much. But the technologies that are working really well in digitizing, of course, I'm a huge fan of blockchain, because then not only can you collect data, but you can trigger actions based on when things happen. So I think blockchain is one of the big technologies which can be very effective. We mentioned Internet of Things. I helped start an Internet of Things company. So the exciting thing about that is the ability for all sensors to talk to each other in and out. And when you're making all these sensors from different manufacturers and different types of sensors working together, you can create analysis to tell you what's going on, but you can also trigger these very complex workflows. If it's a rush hour and this happens and something else happens too. So I think Internet of Things is a big thing. The other technologies that are really gaining improvement, which can be done very locally, is smart grids with electricity, even within an apartment building or a few apartments, as they share collection and distribution of energy and respond to whether somebody's gone for a weekend. That energy they're not being used. That energy can be used. So I think smart grids is a big thing. So that's probably my three favorite technologies: is the Internet of Things, the blockchains, and the smart grids. But what I would like to point out is our biggest sensor is just this portable phones we all have. They can be peer-to-peer networks, can fuse that on the fly. So we've used that to actually reconstruct crime scenes where everybody's pictures get put and built one picture. So with all that data constantly being taken and upgraded, you develop 3D pictures of things that can be quite accurate and real time. And for example, we were able, hey, did anybody see this in a crowd? We were able to take all those pictures, all those images, and be able to look from any angle and say, well, what did somebody see from here, and put that together. So I think the idea of us working together to share data from our phones probably has one of the greatest potentials in terms of data collection. But what was already mentioned, the ability to figure out ahead of time what data needs to be available, everything from permitting and plans is, and open that up is a big thing to do. So kind of in conclusion, we've got to plan carefully to deal with public education, controversy, and being too ambitious. We want to deliver things that actually work, but try not to do everything at once, unless you really think it out and get big funding to do it. And I think there's a lot of technologies we can use right now, but I think the biggest technology is just us and the fact that we're out there moving around collecting data. But again, we have to deal with the public education, the controversy, and the inflated optimism of what's going to happen. We need to be positive and reasonable.
Thank you. Mr. Raymond, what's your concluding remarks for today's session?
I agree with very much with what Eric was saying. I would like to add that although it is everybody's pretty polarized with regards to the topic or subject of AI. I think artificial intelligence for the management of a lot of these new technologies and these new systems will be very, very helpful. So I would say that from my perspective, that would be the top four. Yeah, definitely planning with the end in mind is always the best way forward. There's no shortage of people in the world with vision. And it's really just a matter of reverse engineering it from where we want to be to where we are now. It's certainly within our grasp to be able to live more comfortable, safe, secure lives within smart city. Yeah, open source information is great. And you've got a lot of people using these wells or depositories of information to be able to lab different ideas within their own little collective groups. I think the open source, the availability of this information through open source resources has probably moved us along a lot more quickly than we perhaps would have been if we had just been waiting for people to decide what information should be allowed or made available to the general public. So I think we're in a good place. We're in a very, very interesting place. We've got a lot of things all coming to a point. But yeah, education, patience, healthy lifestyle.
Thank you. Mr. Devashish, what's your concluding remarks for today's session?
I completely agree with Mr. Ravan. So the thing is, artificial intelligence can be revolutionary, and it also can integrate with a smart city. So whenever intelligence integrate with any project, what they can do, they particularly analyze the scenario, and throughout the session, what you can see, we can easily answer data to optimize the energy, traffic, public safety, and citizen services. So that's why which countries are introducing or taking the projects of a smart city, they can save billions of dollars. So there are some cities who have already implemented the smart city projects, and they are saving like 10 to 19 billion dollar as well. So this is how a smart city can save lots of problem. On the other hand, if we think the government and the people are not educated what they are doing, and thinking about the end user, like people like us, if we don't know what's the benefit of the smart city projects, then we cannot obey the systems, and we cannot concern our privacy things and others. So I think countries like Bangladesh, India, and Malaysia, who are implementing these projects, government and private entities should come up with some ideas so that the urban people can be benefited, and some other people like the policymakers can take some initiative to educate the people. So we need to do the both thing at a particular time. We need to introduce the system, we need to show them how it can be how we can be beneficiary from this particular system, which can be the end result, which can be the output from the smart city projects, and how it can help us out in our day-to-day life. That's all.
Thank you. Professor Tohid Bhuya, what's your concluding remarks for today's session?
Yeah, so far I understand that in line with the government's initiative and the citizens' demand towards the smart city projects, many things are not understandable by the normal people. So, as an university, we have the responsibility to use of AI, the latest technologies like blockchain and this and that, uh, where possible. We need to educate people and implement in a small scale so that people can understand the benefits, and that can be implemented gradually for the whole country. So this we're following this motto. So in a university campus, we are trying to uh, actually we are exploring. We are trying to implement small projects which are moving towards to make a whole smart city in implementing all the fourth industrial revolution technologies such as artificial intelligence, robotics, cybersecurity, data analytics, and blockchain technology. Uh, Use of more sensors and collect those data, put it in the cloud, and analyze those things and make smart decisions. So this way we are moving toward, and we have to keep moving until we can implement the smart city in real life. Sharif.
Thank you everyone for joining today's session. We are finishing our 900 episodes. uh, from this episode 900 episode, what we did, we actually collaborating with around 10,000 companies from around the world. We bring 10,000 uh, organizations in between our network. Beside that, the thinkers, policymakers, corporations, largest universities, Ivy League, all of the important organizations, we are collaborating and we are planning to help the emerging economy. So already we start our operations, country like Bangladesh, India, Malaysia, Vietnam, this kind of countries. We build up around 300 startup. So we are planning to develop 15,000 startup in emerging economy. So we need more of the support. Already many important teams from around the world, they are visiting our South Asian initiative. They are visiting Bangladesh and India with our team. So hopefully with all of your support and collaborations, we can uplifting the emerging economy. So thank you, Mr. Eric. Thank you, Professor Vuya. I know you are very busy, but you give us our your valuable time. Thank you, Mr. Raymond, and thank you, Debashish. You are doing excellent job with World Talent Economy Forums. I request all of our audience, please share our content with your government agency, corporation, and academy. And beside that, you know that we are uplifting the technology of Nikola Tesla. So we have our great conference this coming October in Europe. Beside that, we have many Nobel Prize winning startups who are contributing in the emerging economy. So hopefully, with this kind of initiative, we can our generations, our youth, and they are the futures. So I request all of our audience, please share our content as much as possible. I know Professor Tohit Bhuya, you have a lot of students, so share our content. I'm sure they can learn many interesting things from around the world. Thank you. Bye bye and take care.
Thank you, Sharif.